Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama coffee spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
It's that time again. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast, everybody. It is episode 96. We are trucking down that road to episode 100.
Trucking.
What?
I don't know, man.
We're already off the road.
Trucking.
That's
a thing we do here.
We're on our way. It's episode 96. Episode 100 is right around the corner. But we're really excited about this episode. Starting it off, I am the incredible Jeff.
It's hard to be amazing, Justin. I just called you Justin. I'm totally off. And
Who are we?
I will tell you why. There is no fucking coffee here, Jeff.
I know. There's no coffee in the office
By the way,
now.
I don't usually work in this office. I'm usually located in a warehouse where I get actual work done, like, you know, not like you poofs here, but
Poofs. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, there's no coffee here. This is ridiculous. It's hard to be an amazing D-man without caffeination.
It was later in the day, and we ram out of coffee. I'm sorry. Next time you come, will make sure that there's coffee waiting for you.
At least like an espresso machine or
Yeah.
a K-Cup machine or something I could just. I'm not a big condoner of K-Cups, but for situations like this,
Yeah.
what the hell, Jeff?
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
You can't expect me to come here and do a show about a coffee company and there not be coffee here. It's hard to even reach my full potential of anger because I don't have enough energy.
I think you're getting there. I think we're doing a good job. We'd love it if you followed us on social media. You can see just how angry D-Man is every single day that he doesn't have coffee. It's very easy.
I can't believe I almost called you Justin.
I know, right?
There is something really wrong with me.
It's very easy to follow us. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
I am at Death Wish Dustin.
And once again, please, if you haven't taken a moment out of your day to follow at Real Christian Slater, please follow at Real Christian Slater because we need you to do that. But also, if you're just listening to the show on your favorite listening device, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Music, iHeartRadio, wherever it is, we're also in video format, so you can see our dumb faces that go along with our dumb voices. And you can see the awesome guests that we have on this show, just like this show coming up. And you can find all that video over on Death Wish Coffee Company on YouTube and also on Facebook. No show is complete, though, without thanking our good friend, Brock Powell.
BrockFox.com.
He's the voice actor on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. And I do want to mention that on the day after this show comes out on Friday, October 19th, a very happy birthday to Mr. Brock Powell, 30 years old.
Whoa.
It's a big one.
30.
Dirty 30.
Do you remember turning 30, Jeff?
I remember some of it. It was a good time.
I was there.
I know you were.
We carried you down the stairs.
Yeah.
And we threw cake on you.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was nuts. So hopefully Brock has a good time.
Man, that was
as well.
like 15 fucking years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I hate him so much. I am not a million years old, D-Man. Jeez.
Oh, no.
Speaking of this time of year, though, I love this time of year. Not only is Halloween right around the corner, but it is the perfect time of year to start watching all of our favorite horror movies. Actually, if you guys did not catch the companion show that we do every single week over on Facebook Live and on YouTube as well, we run down some of our favorite horror movies in the roast. But I wanted to just touch on it a little bit here because I'm really excited about the new one that's coming out, the next installment of Halloween. Have you seen trailers for this?
It's like Jamie Lee Curtis is like a loner, but she's been kind of training to like the return of
ish. What it really is that John Carpenter said, I was happy with the way the franchise went. I'm happy with whatever had happened, but I never got to tell the sequel I wanted to tell. So none of that matters. So This movie takes 40 years after the first movie, but it is the direct sequel of Halloween. Because at the end of Halloween, Michael Myers is caught and taken to jail.
Right.
So this movie opens up 40 years later, and Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously 40 years older, and Michael Myers is also 40 years older and still in jail. So shit goes down after that, and I'm very excited for
Is
it.
it
Because,
actually 40 years later?
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, 79.
Wow, you sure are getting old.
Oh man, I hate you so much. But yeah, so I'm very excited for that. But I love this time of year to just turn on, some of my favorite horror movies. Do you watch a lot of horror movies during?
Yeah. During this time, I'll get a couple of extra ones in there for sure.
Have you seen a good horror movie lately? That's a tough question to ask.
It's horror movies kind of blur the lines lately.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no, but I watched something called Hold the Dark, which
Hold
is
the Dark.
new Netflix movie about wolves eating kids and shit.
Cool. Was it good?
A lot of people didn't like it. I think those people are just dumb and
No?
didn't get it. It
All right.
It was really good. It was with Alexander Skarsgård. is
Them
one of the main
Skarsgårds are
characters.
great.
And the dude who played Bernarnold in Westworld.
But Arnold. That's awesome.
He is the main character. He's
the
guy
wolf?
who's been
Eating the kids. Roar!
yes, sure, whatever I was gonna say was not as cool as that.
That's awesome, though. I got to check that out. Speaking on the same kind of thing, I checked out Hulu is starting a 12-month anthology series called, I believe, Into the Dark or In the Dark or whatever.
Yeah. I
And
think I saw that.
every month they're going to make a creepy type story about that holiday. They're starting with Halloween, but then Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. The first one's called The Body, and Trish and I watched it, and it was better than I expected it to be. It wasn't like super scary, but there's definitely some like moments.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about scary movies, that they quickly take me out of what's going on.
That's true.
Like, there are a few. Event Horizon, One Dimension, that just scared the ever-living piss out of me. That
for
was
sure.
just so scary. I watched one the other night called Pumpkinhead.
Oh, yeah. You've never seen Pumpkinhead before?
I've never seen Pumpkinhead.
Oh, yeah.
And it started off, it was like, okay, I can dig this. And then it was just like an hour of like, oh, here's Pumpkinhead again.
Yep.
Just throwing motherfuckers around.
Just gangly Pumpkinhead.
It was like, okay, a little bit thrilling at first, but it was like, hey, here he is again.
Yeah,
Here's
of
Pumpkinhead
course.
again.
Of course.
Ridiculous.
But horror's fun. Halloween's fun. Love this time of year.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
This week only until Wednesday, October 24th, if you use the secret code SIDESHOW on deathwishcoffee.com, this will nail you 15% off of everything.
Everything. That's SIDESHOW, all one word. And I really wanted to do this because this month we had a lot of cool content to put out, and we actually missed our Employee of the Month episode, which is coming back next month. No worries, but we didn't want to miss the ability to give you guys 15% off of everything like we normally do.
Plus, not only that, I feel so close to the people at Sideshow. They're like coworkers.
They really are. They really are. And that's why you get 15% off of everything with the code SIDESHOW all the way until October 24th, because this is the first of our 2-part series on Sideshow Collectibles. And if you've never heard us talk about Sideshow Collectibles on this show before, they are an incredible company that employs some of the top sculptors, painters, artisans in the world to create statues and figures of the coolest stuff out there. Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, the horror movie stuff. Speaking on horror movie, and we got to tour their facility out in LA and talk with some of the incredible people that get to work there. And this week's episode, our guest is Susan Damon, and she is one of the social media ambassadors for the company, but she's also, you can see her every single Wednesday on Sideshow Live.
She's the online personality.
She really is. And let me just give you guys a taste. If you're watching this episode, this sits in our studio just off frame, but this is what I'm talking about.
Dude, I mess with this thing constantly. You can't help but touch it. It's so beautiful. Careful with it, Jeff. It's very heavy. Oh, my God. This thing is incredible. Like, we can't keep this on the table. The table would break over the mass that is the Hulk.
It's insanity, and it's just the coolest freaking thing. You really feel like they're just about to just throw down with, because it's in battle, Wolverine and the Hulk. But this is just a taste of what they do at Sideshow Collectibles. And again, getting to just sit down with Susan and talk about, what it's like working there, what the the company entails, what they produce. It's so cool, and we have a lot of cool extra footage in this episode. So you're gonna want to watch it too. So mugs up for this week's death guest, Susan from SIDESHOW Collectibles.
Enjoy.
The Fueled by Death guest.
I want to start by just saying that this place is incredible,
Isn't it?
What is it like to come to work at a place like this every day?
It's pretty much like Fantasyland or Wonderland or any sort of mythical place that you don't think exists, and then it turns out, oh, it does, and it's here, and I get to come here every day to work.
Does it ever like wear off a little bit?
No, it absolutely does not wear off at all. When you're like a lifetime geek girl like I am, like it'll never wear off. And even if it starts to be like, oh, I've seen that statue before, all of a sudden they'll flip something out and you're like, oh, I haven't seen that. That's amazing.
So you're a lifetime geeker. Where did you start to grow into? Like, what is your favorite franchise?
How long do we have?
A long time. A long time.
About a half an hour, but
For me, it started with Star Wars. Yes. Really, like Star Wars was my first fandom, and then I grew up in the time of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm a big Batman geek, big DC Comics geek, big Marvel Comics geek. I've collected comics since I was 8 years old, collected statues basically since I could afford them.
Yeah.
So working at Sideshow is pretty much a dream job for me because I collected Sideshow before I worked at Sideshow, and it's crazy to be here. But yeah, I guess it all started with Star Wars. I also watched Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, like what else?
Yeah.
Everything else.
When did you start working for Sideshow?
About 5 years ago. I just hit my 5 year like a couple months ago, a month ago.
Congrats. Yeah. And for our listeners and viewers, what is your role here at Sideshow?
I am the social media coordinator, so I run all of their social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then I also host Sideshow Live at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays every day across our video channels.
nice. What do you do on that show?
Oh gosh, I get to unbox stuff that we do for the first time. I get to introduce new products and get to talk to like our creative director a lot, and I get to talk to different people in art direction and in sculpt. Like we get to interview and talk kind of about the process that we go through to make all these amazing things that you see here.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a background in any of this before starting working at Sideshow?
This is where you should talk your old employers, by the way.
It's like, I have a background in performing arts.
Okay.
So
yes, you do.
yes,
So, yeah.
yes. So that's kind of where I came from is acting, dancing for a long time, and then hosting and talking about this stuff was just so natural because I already love all of it.
Yes.
So all I really need to do is like expand on that knowledge and figure out how we do things. And it's really cool to see all the artists, so many different people work on everything.
Yeah, let's
like
talk about that a little bit. We've walked through this facility and it's mind-blowing to see the amount of detail and focus and creative drive that
And
goes
top
into
secret things. Here's the list. Starting at the top.
Great.
But speak a little bit about like what that process even entails, because I think
my
a lot of
gosh.
people see the finished product and don't really understand.
Well, in any given piece, it could be in production in development from anything from 6 months to 2 years, just to make sure that we get it right. Because here's the thing about Sideshow is that we're all geeks. We all care so much about everything that we're putting out there for everyone that we want to make sure it is the right version of that character. So we take our time. So we're not just going to put out a piece because we're going to put out a piece. We have people who do, the concept art, and they go through several different designs sometimes. And sometimes they just do a design and everybody loves it and that's how it goes. But there's that stage, and then they get into production, which is like getting everything approved and then going into sculpt and then going into paint and then going into it's output first, then paint. Then all the project managers who walk everything through from start to finish. And if there's cut and sew elements, we need the cut and sew team involved. Then photography comes in and takes all those gorgeous pictures that you see all over our website, that you see on our Instagram, and photography is involved from the beginning as well, because they're taking pictures of like it going through the entire process as well. So you can see, so we can have that content. So once we have like a production sample or a prototype, we can put that. We usually try to put the prototype on the live show. That way we can show it off and what this is going to look like. And then something goes up for pre-order, and then there's the life cycle of the pre-order. So you see what I mean? There's like a whole different thing. There's at least like, I can't even begin to tell you how many people go into like just one of those pieces, and how much love from each member of the team goes into making all those pieces, from just like the initial concept all the way through when it goes home to everybody.
Yeah, it seems like the person who would be like, oh, you got the colors on Boba Fett's blaster wrong, probably work here.
Oh yeah.
And is there a lot of people calling out like, oh, I don't think you got that quite right. I've watched the movie 1,000 times.
We do have that, and you know, we are dealing with a lot of passionate fans all the time, and and the thing is that we try to go with a lot of times something that is the idealized version of the character, rather than necessarily something that's 100% screen accurate. So when you're looking at a character like Deadpool, it's not necessarily going to be the Deadpool that you saw in the Deadpool movie, but it is going to be the Deadpool that you're most likely to see if you pick up anything that is recognizable as Deadpool.
Right. But sometimes you do the like movie accurate figurines. I mean, I've seen a Robert Downey Jr. face that haunts me in my sleep.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's our talented sculpt team right there. They're doing the likenesses of all these actors, and it's crazy.
It's
It's
crazy.
just the glaze of the eyes.
I know, and the way you
everything.
feel like it's looking at you. Like I can't have these likenesses like anywhere near where I sleep.
It's like next
real-
level of grandmother's creepy dolls.
Oh yeah, except like this is 6 scale Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
That's just gonna.
It's the next level of fandom too, because I mean, you guys work with so many incredible properties and have created a fandom within that. I mean, there is the Sideshow fandom
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
absolutely.
And that now tailors to a lot of the subjects that you're creating. Like, is that surreal? Like when you're making like, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, or like Michael Rooker as Yondu or something like that, and like these people like are so jazzed about having themselves immortalized?
Well, it's funny you bring up Michael Rooker, who has actually crashed the live show before to talk about his own Yondu. Like, it's pretty spectacular to have that type of feedback come from someone who portrayed that iconic character. So yeah, it's surreal, and it's such a compliment, and it makes everybody, I think, feel so lucky that they had a part in this piece, no matter what it is, because they're bringing a character to life in that way.
Have you, from any of your fandoms, has anybody walked through those doors that you fangirled out about a little too hard?
Okay, I'm pretty good about keeping it together. However, when I met Kevin Conroy for the first time, I held it together, and then he walked away, and I like sat on the floor underneath, like just in case he could still see me, and like kind of cried. Like my little like
It's Batman.
yeah, I was like my little like 8-year-old Susan in me was just like, oh my god, you just met Batman. That was the coolest thing in the whole world.
That is so cool. And Sideshow as a whole has created this incredible industry standard now for this type of collecting. And I want to talk a little bit about like the early days of this company. That wasn't really the case in the beginning, right?
The early days of the company we started doing like model kits a lot. And so I think one of the first pieces we ever did was a Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein model kit. So it wasn't ever necessarily meant to be something that was a piece of living art that you have in your home. It was something more that you were supposed to build together and put your own creativity into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, like the collaborative mentality has existed since the beginning. But yeah, that's it. It also like started in this not even a warehouse. It was like a garage in Westlake Village.
Wow.
So they would put like molds next to a pool.
Wow.
That was the story that I've heard from one of our owners.
So how did it grow into this obsessive, attention to detail, like
Really,
next level?
Really smart people who are like better at this than I ever could be. It's hard to describe other than it just was fueled by passion. Yeah. Passionate people who were willing to take risks and do jobs that they weren't necessarily trained for or were in their comfort level, but they did it anyway. And look at how awesome all this became. Like, one of our owners started out being a graphic designer, and now she's like head of our like an entire department of the company and runs all this. We have our amazing CEO who just every step of the way knew exactly how to take the company and took risks creatively as well as in business. And they created a standard and a name for themselves. And you guys are going to talk to Tom Gilliland, I think, a little bit later. So he might be able to answer some of these questions a little bit better than I can, since he's been here since the beginning. But he's our creative director, and he's part of that initial group of people that just started the company and took it from this garage to what you're seeing right now.
Wow. And I think that, that's the testament for any company that really can do incredible things, is to have that passion to just try anything and go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look where it's gotten you guys. You have some of the most sought after properties that you deal with at this point, and creating your own properties like the Court of the Dead and all that stuff that you guys are able to do. And like we talked about earlier, what I think is so exciting about a company of creative people like this is, like, you do create things that are movie specific or person specific and straight off the page of a comic book, but the stuff that you create that you just allow your artisans to really go into it on is incredible. It's incredible. And on top of that, the other side of this company, those, like with you and with all of the lives that you guys do and all of the print publication and the graphic design and everything, it's a powerhouse of awesome. I don't know how to describe it.
Thank you so much. Everybody in the company works really hard at what they do, and we're all very, very. We all have different skill sets, but I think they all come together in this really unique way that no one else can match in that sense. Like, we have our marketing team, who these are some of the most brilliant minds that I get to talk with every day about, well, here's a different way of looking at a character that we've all seen 1,000 times. Like, everyone knows who Wolverine is. How do you make Wolverine new again? Yeah. And yet somehow they bring that to the table and can come through with all these different ideas via like emails and live shows and all these different things that they do themselves. And then we have like our customer support team, who they also can support they can answer all these questions about everything. If you go into our customer support area, they have every single figure that is current, like that is unboxed. So that way, if someone has a question and calls in about like, oh, I don't know how the claw fits on Wolverine, they can go and test it themselves, so they will know the exact problem that any sort of customer is having. So even down to that, we try to approach things in a way that other people don't look at them. And I think that is kind of like what Sideshow does in general. Like, how can we look at this thing a little bit differently to give it a little more of a creative spin, and take a classic character and make it something that's a piece of art that can live in your home.
That's so cool.
It seems like it would be difficult to keep that mindset with every single person that works here.
You would think, but somehow we all have this, like...
How?
I don't know.
Is there like an intro video? You sit them down and like, this is how you work at Sideshow.
I have
be
no
obsessive.
idea. Be obsessive, be a little bit crazy, but definitely look at the world slightly differently, and then you'll be able to work here. Yeah, but I don't know how we find everyone, but... We somehow have managed to collect the right people. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's so fun.
So, from someone on the inside, where do you think is the future of Sideshow? Where do you think this company is headed in the next handful of years?
Well, I think that we've been really lucky to have hit an age where everything that we already loved forever is now mainstream.
Yes.
So moving forward, obviously, we're going to be able to explore that a lot more. But also, on the other hand, we have Court of the Dead. And we have these amazing IPs that we want to develop. And Court of the Dead has now become a board game.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Yeah. And so to think of this thing as like, oh, look, it existed in Tom's head. And then it became a statue and books. And there's a series of novels. There were comics on the internet that now became comics that are actual comics being published. And there's a board game. Like, to me, that's the next step as well, to just expand on the creativity of the people who work here and things that we think of that are
Yeah.
That to me is the next step.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Do you get into movie making after this?
I mean,
Court of the Dead movie.
That would be amazing. We keep we keep joking about Court of the Dead like a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be
It'll happen.
amazing?
Oh my God.
That would
It'll
be
happen.
so
Sign me
cool.
up.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
because
see
you
it
could just
happening.
like binge like the history of the war between heaven and hell. Like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, I think that would be so cool.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
So, on this show, we always come to this question, and I kind of want you to answer this two separate ways.
Okay.
First of all, as yourself.
As myself.
Yes. What fuels you to keep coming in and kicking ass every day at a job like this?
What fuels me? Okay. Well, what fuels?
I know it
It's
puts you on the
wow,
spot. It
that's
does.
That's a tough question.
does.
It's actually like, how do I answer this in a way that doesn't sound cheesy? Because honestly, it's passion. Like the
Yeah.
passion for everything that we make, the passion for the fandoms. For me, it's stuff like, I feel like I work with my friends every day too. It's not
That's
just
awesome.
it's not just, these are my coworkers. It's like, these are the people that I want to spend time with. But mostly it's the passion for pop culture. It's the passion for the creative minds of the people that I work with. It's because that is what energizes me. It's stuff like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I keep mentioning people looking at things differently, and I love hearing how everybody else sees things that's not the way I see them.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal, because you can, a lot of people have to be in a work environment where everyone's supposed to think the same way, and we're encouraged not to. And that to me is something that that would fuel me every day. That can't be replaced in my mind.
That's inspiring. So same question, but as the company, as Sideshow Collectibles, what do you think, what is it that fuels Sideshow Collectibles to continue to just be amazing? Like, I can't even put it into words.
Oh my God, what fuels Sideshow to continue to be amazing?
You have to speak for everybody now. No pressure.
Yes.
That's oh my gosh. Well, one, I know, like, it's not like PR is staring at me right now, like, don't F this up in any sort of way. I think as Sideshow, what fuels us moving forward is the way everything we love is coming to life. And everything we love is being reborn right now. We get to see a character like Doctor Strange, who is kind of one of the more, like, he's a sideline character a lot in Marvel,
Totally.
but we got to watch him be reborn as an Avenger in like a very mainstream way.
Yeah.
We get to see the new Star Wars movie, like Solo, a Star Wars story comes out. And so we get to see Han Solo in a different way and get to reimagine him all over again. And then if you even take something like Court of the Dead, we get to see the classic like hero's journey, but told through the story, like told through a way where death is the hero or anti-hero, depending on how you look at it. So I think what really fuels Sideshow as a company is the ability to take something that we think we've seen all of and make that thing new again and look at it through a different lens, or slightly askew, or just upside down, if that's what it
Yeah.
takes. So that to me is what fuels Sideshow.
Oh, so cool.
And we've seen this crazy explosion of this culture of Star Wars and Marvel and
Oh, yeah.
DC. It's really incredible as being a kid collecting comics into this world today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this continuing? Do you see it exploding? Do you think there's an end to it?
I mean, I hope there's not an end
Right,
to it.
yeah.
I love that. I love that the kids who collected comics now get to go to the movies and see that same character.
Or they're making them.
Or
Yeah.
they're making them.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. Or they're making them. Or they're making the figures out like from the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's insane how cool it is to be able to see that. I hope it doesn't end. I hope that it keeps going. I love the idea of introducing a new generation to these characters, but in a completely different way.
Yes.
I like to think about, and this blew my mind the other day, and I don't know how, like, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's at the same time, like, there's some kids out there who, like, the young Han Solo is going to be their Han Solo.
Correct.
Oh, that's so weird.
Isn't
Yeah.
that weird?
Yeah.
Because it's like, for us, it's Harrison Ford.
Right.
And then someone else is going to think of Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah.
That's
so strange.
So
Right.
there are kids out there who, like, I thought about that when Force Awakens came out. Like, like there are kids out there that will gravitate so hard to Rey, and that will be their Jedi.
Yep.
Forever. Just like when I grew up, like I wanted to be Mark Hamill. I wanted to be Luke Skywalker. And it's like, that is this generation's Luke Skywalker, and that's incredible that we live in I love the future. I love the future.
I love the idea of passing all this on
Yeah.
Star Wars even says it. You're supposed to pass on what you've
Yes,
learned.
for
That's
sure.
that's the whole point. So, Luke passes on to Rey, and so now there's an entire generation who Rey is their Jedi.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
It
and so
really
much
is.
and so wonderful.
So it's so wonderful. So in your time working here at Sideshow, and this might be a tough question to answer,
Right,
but
because all of these have been easy
yeah,
so far.
You've done pretty well so far.
has there been a piece that has came out that you were the most excited for since your time here? Something that you just tickles you still to this day that you were a part of this company?
Oh
when
my
it came out?
gosh. Well, actually, what's really funny is she's about to come out. She debuted in San Diego at Comic-Con this year.
Excellent.
And it was the X23 premium format figure. I
so
am
cool.
so obsessed with Laura Kinney.
So
like,
cool.
so obsessed with her. She's one of my favorite characters of all time. The fact that, like, my dad was a big inspiration to get me into all this stuff, and he always loved Wolverine, and the fact that she's like, I mean, now her lineage has changed, but
Right, but comic lineage, yeah.
But she's the daughter of Wolverine, and so I really attached to her, and now we have this amazing, like, it's a dynamic pose. She's like,
so
she has
cool.
both, like, all of her claws are out, her foot claws out, and she's jumping out of a Sentinel's hand. Like, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I just love that piece is coming out and that Sideshow's doing it. It's this beautiful, beautiful premium format figure. I'm just so excited for her.
Oh, I know. I'm a big fan as well. My one of my good friends who runs our local comic shop actually is a huge X23 fan.
Oh, really?
And saw it premiere at San Diego, and he's like, "That's mine. I'm going to have that. That
Yep.
will be mine." Oh yes, it will be mine.
Oh yeah, no,
So, yeah.
that-
That's exciting. That's
I was walking up the stairs and someone was like, "Oh, I think that was X23 in paint," and I just immediately, like, without saying a word, turned it and walked back into paint. And then Kat Sapine, one of our painters, she was painting her, and I just was like crying. Like, I was just like, this. It's like, I'm not gonna cry. It's fine. It's fine. And then I didn't even see her put together, because in paint we have to have them in pieces in order to get all the details that we need. So I didn't even see her put together until I came down to San Diego. And then I got to do the same thing, I guess, that every other fan in San Diego did.
That's so cool.
To be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
she's real.
yeah.
It must be so cool to see it from the very bottom to, like, that finished product. And,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, to be authentically excited about it with everybody else
Oh, yeah.
must be just, like,
It was
top notch.
so fantastic.
I
I loved it.
I love the way that you guys do reveals at this company too. I think it's just so well thought out and well done, and it gets everybody excited about it. And obviously the two big ones, are San Diego and New York. The Comic-Cons when you guys really get to showcase everything.
Yeah.
I have to bring it up too. The other one of the big reveals at San Diego is you're wearing her on your shirt. Was that Carrie Fisher Leia is
Oh my God.
you want to talk about crying? I shed a tear when I saw that.
my
When I saw the video come out of that, because it's like that's her. It's
It
really
looks
her.
so much like her, and we had the absolute pleasure of being able to show it to her brother and have him help us with the reveal of it as well. And he was like it was great to see his reaction as well, because you get so nervous.
Yeah,
Because
I
this
imagine.
is such not only does she mean everything
So
to
personal.
us, but it's so it's his sister.
Yeah.
And to have him react positively, that meant the world to us.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, let's talk about where Sideshow is going to pop up next throughout the end of the year. Probably the biggest thing would be New York Comic Con,
New York
right?
Comic-Con, definitely.
Can we talk about anything that you guys got planned for that? I know there's probably some secret stuff we can't talk about.
There
but-
are some secret things that well, first off, I do a lot of these, like, interviews, and I obviously host the show. So
Right.
sometimes they don't tell me things because I'm not the best secret keeper. Our PR guy is staring at me once again because I get excited and I want to
Yeah, of
share.
course.
The things that I can talk about is we will have another exclusive pin, just like the Thanos
Awesome.
pin
Awesome.
that happened in San Diego was so popular that we decided to do it again.
Cool.
at like New York Comic-Con. Obviously, it's not the exact same because
Right.
it said San Diego.
Oh, yeah, you
and-
got to do something different.
yeah, it's a little different. So we will be doing that. That's the thing I can tell you about. And just that we have more things to show you that have not been seen before.
That is excellent.
And some things that we do want to share with the attendees of New York because it is a different audience.
Oh, totally.
It's a totally different audience over there. So we want to make sure that they don't miss out on having not been to San Diego.
Awesome.
Do you ever have to push around your deadlines to make reveals for the Comic-Cons?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say about that. I will say that sometimes things are basically still wet when they get personally driven down to San Diego. So they leave paint and have to dry on the way to the show.
Wow, I
That's
believe it
so
though. The
Yeah.
amount of stuff that you guys do, and and obviously you don't want to miss the ability to be able to, show the fans.
Oh,
and-
yeah,
and
absolutely.
showcase it at such a giant,
Yeah.
stage like
Yeah,
that.
and for Court of the Dead, like Tom personally paints the prototypes sometimes in order to get them ready. Like he takes such an active role in that whole property that we've had to go backwards and match his paint from the prototype.
Wow.
Is that tough? There
you'd
must
have
be a
to-
lot of pressure there, right?
There's someone in the paint department who is very, very good at it. Yeah.
So he's like the guy.
He's the guy.
Put me in, coach. You
Yeah,
got it.
it's like the Tom paint. Like he can do it. He's pretty good at it. That's shout out to Casey Love right there.
Wow, that is so cool. Well, hopefully we will also be appearing at New York Comic Con again. We've been down there the last couple of years, and we'll be doing some fun stuff together. Hopefully,
yeah, your truck
which is gonna,
saves our lives.
we're getting a brand new one this year.
the paint will be drying on that one.
Yeah,
too, on the way to
pretty
New York
much. So
Comic-Con.
that's-
You're doing it sideshow style, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. So
I
that's
don't
gonna be a
know.
lot of fun.
Hopefully, that's the best case scenario.
And for our listeners and viewers, if you're not getting tickets to New York Comic Con, which I know they're tough to get sometimes,
Just a little.
the great thing about Sideshow Collectibles is everything you guys are doing will be online, through your social media channels. Are you going to be there specifically?
I will be there
so you'll
specifically,
probably be doing
and
lives
so we do
and-
live shows from
Oh,
the
yeah.
floor to be able to show everybody what we have at the booth, and that way they can see the live reveals and aren't at the show, because it is very difficult nowadays with the explosion of pop culture to
It's
get
crazy.
into these shows. So we want to make sure our online audience has the same experience that anybody at the show could have.
That's excellent. And to follow you, people obviously can watch you every Wednesday, you said?
Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Facebook.com/Sideshow Collectibles.
Excellent. I'll put that in the show right here. I'll also
Yes.
put in, obviously, all the tags for Sideshow. And you specifically, is there any, do you do social media? Do you want to throw any of that out there
I
for
do
people to follow
social
you?
media, but you don't need to follow me.
All right.
You can follow Sideshow, and it's probably the better place to follow.
better
anyway.
place.
I just talk about my cat.
People
Like
love
Jeff.
that.
Jeff never shuts up about his cat.
I love my cat.
Yeah, I
My
do
cat's
too.
amazing, but you guys you should probably just go follow Sideshow.
That's great.
Unless you like cats.
Yes.
I mean, we have cats on Sideshow as well. Our photography manager also has included her own cats in our Catwoman
That's adorable.
in our Catwoman environment. It's pretty awesome.
That's hilarious.
That's adorable. I can't thank you enough for sitting down and talking with
course,
us.
anytime. It was
It's
awesome.
been an eye-opening experience being at something like this.
I
And
don't
to-
even. I'm gonna have such weird dreams tonight.
Yeah.
Like.
Think about if Toy Story is real.
Oh my God.
no.
Oh, if
Or
Toy
Night at the
Story-
Museum,
Or
but
Night at
in
the
Sideshow.
Museum.
Yeah. Oh, we'd
all of
no
us-
one would survive.
No.
We would all be the amount of aliens and hellraisers and people with sci-fi weapons that are just adorning your walls. We're all dead and instantly. Like, look, like
It'd be worth it.
Vader's
by the
right
way.
behind me right now.
It'd be worth it.
it'd be
Yeah.
worth it though.
Yeah.
It'd be a
I mean,
hell of a way to
if
go.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was
See,
gonna
that's
say.
the kind of movie making you should get into.
Right.
Yeah, Night at the Museum, Sideshow edition.
Oh my God!
I
It's
can't
$1,000,000
even
idea.
imagine, but that licensing nightmare.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a nightmare.
You guys are probably good at that by now. So.
Sure. I'm sure that wouldn't be any work for our licensing
no
department.
red
just a
tape.
snap.
No red tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, thank you so
Of
much.
course. Anytime.
Awesome.
This is awesome.
Cheers.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.